Hey Cougs, welcome back to another Coogstalk. I'm Camila Gonzalez.
I'm Andrew Wach.
And I'm Kenneth Bowman.
Alright, we have a lot of exciting topics to talk about today, so we're going to get started with college football, specifically the U of H game. What do y'all think?
Honestly, we won, of course, homecoming. It's always good to win on homecoming. But just, I was watching the game. Just the overall process, it wasn't an enjoyable watch. I felt like we ran the ball like literally every play. I think Zion only got like 13 passes off, and we did like 50 runs. But that's like the philosophy that they want to go with. We do want to be a run-heavy team, but it gets to a point like we can't just keep spamming the run. But overall, a win is a win.
Yeah, at times the offense was definitely pretty predictable with the run scheme, QB design runs, short inside runs, not a lot of like developing passing plays. Thankfully, our defense stepped up and did its job. Really good coverage, really good job in the run game. They weren't able to get too many big plays down the field, but yeah, if teams know what our run scheme is, and they can figure it out pretty quick, we're gonna have some trouble late in the season.
All right, so what do y'all think about the playoffs? How they're looking?
Playoffs are interesting. There are some teams that have Heisman contenders on them that are, still trugging along, getting wins. Boise State with Genty is, I believe, 6-1 or 7-1 at this point. They came off a close win, and the other teams like Oregon's undefeated. Ohio State has one loss. Penn State's undefeated. They're all trying to make their mark on the 12-team playoff, and it'll be interesting to see what teams end up getting those spots.
Well, yeah, playoffs are definitely an interesting topic. Oregon being number one ranked was not something I'd seen coming just at any point this season. But they're playing some good football. Dylan Gabriel's playing some good football. He's in the Heisman contention. They got a whole bunch of weapons around him. Honestly, in terms of playoffs, we got to figure out a way to get Colorado in there. I don't see them making the Big 12 championship game just because of seeding, and they already have 2 conference losses. And you got the BYU run through the conference and Iowa State. So I think some losses will have to come up top, which I don't see happening in order for Colorado to get in. But, overall, I would like to see Colorado just make a playoff appearance. This is good for the program.
Yeah, it'd be good for college football, too, just as a whole, watching guys like Sugar and Travis make the playoff and see what they can do on a big stage like that.
Okay, and what direction do you think the Heisman race is going?
So my Heisman pick from my last Coogstalk did not go according to plan. I picked Jalen Milroe, and that did not go according to plan. So honestly, if I had to side with one, I'm probably going to go with Genty. His stats speak for themselves. They're video game breaking records. Stat-wise, he has over 1,000 yards, almost 1,500. He has dozens and dozens of touchdowns already. And as long as Boise State keeps winning games, I don't see why he can't be the Heisman favorite just based off stats alone.
Yeah, he's put up insane numbers. I still have to go with Travis Hunter. Just especially if, Colorado, if they're probably going to win out. They don't really have any tough opponents. I guess you could say Texas Tech, but not really. They lost to Baylor a couple weeks ago. But I still have to go Travis Hunter, what he's doing on both sides of the ball. Honestly, going back to Shador, I think Shador should be in the top Heisman conversations, but he's not, unfortunately. But they're not going to put 2 teammates in the conversation at the same time. But honestly, I think if Travis winning is kind of Shador winning it as well because he's throwing in the ball.
Yeah, he's definitely his stats aren't out of this world, but he keeps the ball out of trouble. His completion percentage is really good, and he's really efficient with the ball. Keeping the ball on the offensive side of the ball, getting Travis when he can, finding his other guys. So he'll definitely if he's not up there, it's probably will go underappreciated, but Travis is holding him up for him.
All right. Well, switching over to NFL, what do y'all think about Week 8 overall?
Week 8 was super interesting. There was a bunch of close games. I'll start with the Texans game. The Texans game was really close. I don't know why it was that close, but it was. Defense was coming to play. We had a really good job by Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson from that game. The offense was able to respond. There were other close games, like the Patriots sneaked out a win against the struggling Jets. The Falcons got a gritty win over the Buccaneers, who were injury-riddled, and the Commanders on a Hail Mary throw. Last play of the game against the Chicago Bears, Jane Daniels has, I believe, cemented himself in the MVP conversation and obviously the Rookie of the Year conversation for the NFL. So that was just a couple of the games from the slate yesterday.
Oh yeah, Week 8 we had Thursday Night Football. Vikings and Rams. Good win for the Rams. They get their top 2 receivers back with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Kyron Williams did his thing. He's been doing his thing the whole year. Arizona had a good game, good win against Miami. Kyler Murray, Kyler Murray, he's a good player. He's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
They make the little jokes about him or whatever. But I don't know, if you don't think Kyler Murray is a good player, then you just don't watch football.
Yeah.
Seahawks, they had a horrible loss against the Bills.
Devastating.
No DK Metcalf. No DK Metcalf. The O-line still sucks. Jets, they lost to the Patriots. I don't know what's going on with that Jets team. You get Devontae Adams, and I don't know, we went from one losing team to another losing team. So.
Yeah, it's crazy. Talk about the Seahawks real quick. It seems like we see the same thing from them every year. They have a few good wins and then a few really bad wins or bad losses, and this is one of them for sure. And then switching to the Jets, both teams, they look good on paper. They've got guys, they've got receivers, they've got a good running back, and they have a quarterback that can get wins when need be. But somehow they can't find these points at the end of games, and it's pretty devastating. But another team that I want to focus on real quick is the Cleveland Browns. 1-6 going into a tough game at home against Baltimore, and with Deshaun Watson going down with an injury, Jameis Winston came in and absolutely played fantastic. I believe didn't turn the ball over, was super efficient, was able to motivate guys and get guys to be united on the same page after being 1-6. You would think that morale would be pretty down and things, people would be kind of out of it, but he was able to unite them, and they got a big win against a good Baltimore team.
So you're saying Deshaun was the problem?
Yeah, I do. He is not the 2019 Houston Texans version of himself, and it's just been trending down ever since. I think this was actually his last game that he played as a Cleveland Brown.
Yeah, most likely. They gave him a whole bunch of money, and honestly, at the time, I guess it wasn't a bad decision. I guess you can make the argument. He took a year off, came and suspended 12 games, so he really didn't get a lot of football in before he got paid. Just going back to the Texans, honestly, it was really a close game just because the O-line issues. Texans O-line issues are becoming more prevalent week by week.
Yeah.
Down the stretch, I don't think they're gonna be in trouble if they don't get that line together. And talk about the Chiefs, they're still undefeated.
Best team in the league.
Yeah.
Nobody's taken them down yet.
Yeah, they haven't really played anybody.
That is true.
But I guess you could say they have. But Mahomes, he's coming around. He still had 2 picks yesterday.
Yeah, they did beat Baltimore, I think, early in the season.
Yeah, they did. So that's But we can go back, go over the logistics of that win. But that's for another episode. We don't want it to be too long this time.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Were there any injuries that stood out to y'all?
Diggs is a big one. Texans losing another receiver. Nico's still in IR for about a couple more weeks. So losing your guy that you've been, looking to get the ball these past couple weeks, the main focal point of the offense. It'll be tough for the Texans as they have a gauntlet coming up. We got the Lions, the Jets. We got the Cowboys, who, anything could happen in that game. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens with the offense and how they can rebound.
I would hope y'all would beat the Cowboys.
Me too, trust me. Houston versus Dallas matchup in Dallas is going to be a very televised and watched game by viewers. So I think that, if the Texans don't play with their food too much, we should be able to easily swipe past the Cowboys.
Okay. And to our last topic of the NBA, what are any first impressions of the game or the players?
Honestly, go back to opening night. Celtics, they just watched the Knicks. I honestly was really a surprise, how good the Celtics are. And Porzingis, he's part-time, but you have a part-time 20-10 dude sitting on your bench, and they're still just, dropping these teams off. And honestly, the Knicks to go out there and lose by almost 30, and you stack the deck this offseason, and that just wasn't a good performance.
Yeah, going back to that trade that happened a couple weeks ago for Cat and Julius Randle and DiVincenzo, I think DiVincenzo was a glue guy there. He's the guy that, brings the morale up off the bench, kind of like Josh Hart does for them. He's one of those gritty players that can give you, 10 to 15 points a night easily. I think they're still adjusting with getting Karl-Anthony Towns. I think there's some some adjustment there. They lost a little bit of the toughness that Randall brought, but I think the Celtics also had something to prove. You know, Jason Tatum not playing in the Olympics, looking like an MVP candidate right now. He's just been playing lights out. Jaylen Brown is right there with him, and the team's gelling really nice. All the main guys are playing, and Joe Mazzulla is really coaching his butt off right now.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like the way the Celtics, their offensive philosophy of things. They just shoot a lot of threes, but I mean, if it's broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. All their players can shoot threes.
Yeah,
all the way
like
down.
just the whole starting five can shoot. You got Al Horford, 30 years old, still putting work in. He can shoot. We can talk about Julius Randle. That first game against the Lakers, he really didn't have a great game, but when they played the Kings, he balled out.
Yep.
I think he's coming into his own with the Timberwolves. Another team, LA Clippers. I mean, they're showing a lot of people what they're about. Just from the defensive side of the ball, which I mean, I've seen in the offseason with the additions that they made. You got guys like Derrick Jones, Chris Dunn. He's really showing out. Then they had a good win against the Warriors. Went to overtime against the Suns. So.
Yeah, they're showing a lot of their guys like Norman Powell, Kai Jones, Derrick Jones Jr. Harden's playing the way Harden should be playing.
Yeah.
That 20 and 10 guy that you need to lead your offense. They don't have Kawhi back, and whenever they get Kawhi back, the defense will get even better. He's not a super big ball hogger. He's not taking 30 shots a game. So I believe when he comes back, that team will look even better. They're already deep as it is.
Most definitely. I guess we can talk about the Rockets. They're not, I don't know, like, I feel like they had a lot of hype going into this year. I didn't really buy into it. And, it's only, 3 games into the year. But, a lot can happen. But I'm not really a believer in the Rockets as, some people are.
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion. I think that we have a lot of young talent. The guys are starting to really develop and start to get that breakout. Jalen Green's trying to do it. Alperen Sengun is trying to elevate his game. And then you got guys that, kind of take some shots away. Fred VanVleet takes a lot of shots. Jalen Green takes a lot of shots. And other guys on the bench like Whitmore, Thompson, Tari, those are guys that can give you 10 to 15 a night easily. It's just whether or not they get the shots too, And Jabari has been kind of struggling a little bit, which is kind of hard to see because, he's got the tools to be successful. 6'10", he can shoot, he's a good rebounder, he's a decent defender. So we'll just have to see what happens with the Rockets. It's too early to tell. They've had to run up against, a divisional opponent like the Spurs with Wemby. They got a good win against Memphis, and they had a struggling first win on the defensive side of the ball, or a struggling loss, against the Hornets when LaMelo went off. So
Yeah, LaMelo's been balling.
Oh, he has, yeah. Honestly, I'm not surprised coming off an injury. Like, we already knew he could ball like that.
Yeah, like he's been like that. Even though he had like a unconventional route to the NBA.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's been like that since he was like a little kid. Like, we already knew who LaMelo was and who was going to be once he got to the league.
Yep, good shooter. He just needs to work on his defense, honestly.
Yeah.
Foul trouble.
Okay, so that wraps it up. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Camila.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Kenneth.
Go
Go
Cougs.
Cougs.